Come on, don't disconnect me now, you whole
technology on a Friday.
I'm going to throw this thing in about 44 minutes. Back on. Let's go before I lose it.
Go!
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
This is the Fantasy Focus Baseball Podcast. Here are your hosts, Tristan Cockcroft and Eric Karabell.
Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy Focus Baseball. It's Friday, May 16, 2014. A happy Friday to all. I'm Eric Karabell. That is Tristan Happy Cockcroft. See, his middle name is Happy. How awesome is that? Lots to get to.
Everything is awesome.
It is.
Yes!
What is that?
That's from your 44 reference. This is now the 44. We're changing it from the 0610. It's 44.
Well, now I have to make sure that the show is exactly 44 minutes. I guess I could do that.
I know. Pressure.
Yeah, let's not try.
Lots to get. Twitter Friday. We tried something new, and we're going to call it Twitter Friday, hashtag the 06010, and lots of response. We want to give extra time for that to get to your questions on Twitter, but we realize that not everybody's on Twitter, so we will continue to take emails on Monday. How about that? What else? Carlos Beltran's hurt. We knew that. Zobrist DL, Colby Rasmus DL. Oh, another day with injuries. Here's the buzz. Now, Tristan, I read everything that you write, and I'm okay if you don't give me back the same love. But did you happen to see the Ben Zobrist piece I wrote, and did you agree or disagree? He is on the disabled list now, and by the way, in one of the leagues that you and I are in together, it's a different type of league. All my offensive players on the disabled list. Every single one of them. Zobrist is one of them. So,
hey, you're gonna whine about losing guys to the disabled list. Ben Zobrist, Colby Rasmus, Brandon Belt, Adam LaRoche, and Adam Eaton are where? That's your trivia for the day. Well, actually, no, it's not your trivia for the day.
Oh, you want to do a man's league?
That's on my man's league team. You got it.
Oh, let's do an update then. Oh, we're all getting torched. How about that? Yeah, I'm down 8-4 to the Bear. Okay, and that's probably not going to change. You're down 8-4 to the Burger Evan. I think you just want to lose to a guy with burgers.
Have you looked at? No, look at the offensive numbers too. He's absolutely crushing me.
Well, it's more on your end. You have a 234 on base percentage, 8 runs scored in 4 days. Oh my God, Jay's even beating you in on base.
Have you looked at who's left in the lineup?
No,
my
I'm not
best
looking.
Player left.
I don't care about my own team, yet alone yours. So I'm not looking at anything.
Hey, Scott Van Slyke is my all-star. So there we go.
Oh my God, what's wrong with us? At least I have 20 runs scored. I feel like I'm having a decent week. I have a 360 on base and being beaten by a better team. Anyway, off the Man's League stuff, these DL stuff that happened yesterday, they all have value. I noticed that you still had Carlos Beltran in your top 100, which actually surprised me a little bit. My blog today on Friday, I thought, let's do something different to end the week. So I went through the top 15 active in wins above replacement, because I knew Beltran would be on the list. Turns out 8 of the top 15 active, Yankees or played for the Yankees at some point. How about that?
There we go. Loving it. Robot happy.
If Beltran gets surgery, I drop him. I'm not waiting 3 months for Carlos Beltran. Colby Rasmus, the power's legit, but the batting average is never legit. So who would you rather have this rest of the season, Beltran or Rasmus? I'm going to assume Beltran needs surgery at this point.
Even if he needs surgery, you still get a half season from him, and I trust Beltran on the game-by-game basis more than I do Colby Rasmus. I'd keep Beltran.
Beltran wasn't doing much. You know that, right?
Well, he wasn't playing at full health.
So you're assuming that the elbow injury was affecting him at the plate?
I have to think this has gone on for a little while. Yeah, I don't know if it's been the entire season, but I do have to think this has affected him for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
He hasn't looked like his usual self.
No, he has not looked like his usual self. Zobrist, I think you have to keep him owned. I called him overrated, but I still think you got to keep him owned. No combo meals on Thursday. How disappointing. I want a combo meal every day. First of all, I love seeing it on Twitter. I love how so many people, and it's not just the actual account combo meal, but it's so many people, hey, Ryan Ledwick got a combo meal. I mean, like just, or Carlos Santana had one the other day, which was kind of cool. There were a bunch the other day.
Hey, did we have any Great Fuentes since we have about 1,000 of them now?
I don't think we had any Fuentes-oriented material from Thursday. I mean, we had a blown save or two. We had a reliever replace a reliever. We didn't have any, what's that new term? The foiled? We didn't have any foiled. I mean, he can just play the sound just because it's fun.
What's going on in the background?
I haven't gotten the foiled Fuentes done yet.
Well,
I grabbed. Well, here. Did I save it? Oh, I may not have saved it. Actually, I think I did. I don't know. Now I'm talking out loud. Inner monologue.
Yeah, I hope you'll get to the foiled Fuentes at some point because, you know.
I mean, I did grab the sound from the show.
Many runs.
Foiled Fuentes! But it needs an Olay, and it needs some music.
Olay! You know, we've only asked for the Daily Notes drop since March, literally, but it's May 5th.
Well, Tristan was late to the show yesterday, and we did not have time to finish recording the production.
I blame the traffic.
Oh, stop it. It's like blaming the DL for why you're losing. I don't want
What, do you think I'm Jack Bauer and could just breeze right through the traffic? Is that what you're saying?
Just fly.
Todd Bader's my buddy today. He's the best.
I can't find any other relevant news, and we have so much more to get to. So let's get to the closer carousel.
The closer carousel.
What a weird day. All right, so if you're Buck Showalter, and maybe you know this, you know, Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon, you're thinking, oh, everybody in fantasy thinks Darren O'Day is my next closer. I can't let it be Hunter. Would you have imagined at all as Zach Britton, a young lefty having a good year? But here comes the ninth inning, and, you know, Darren O'Day was used in the sixth inning. So it's pretty clear that he's not the next closer unless he's going to pull a Sosha. They're at Kansas City. O'Day's already gotten the last out of the sixth and a couple out in the seventh. So you get to the ninth inning. There's one lefty up. I think it's Gordon. And then Valencia and Giavotella. And here comes Zach Britton. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. But he did it. It worked out great through 12 pitches. I mean, it certainly wasn't a John Axford type outing. Who's the next closer for the Orioles? Who gets the next save?
I think Darren O'Day gets the next save. And there is the situation by which this is smart on Buck Showalter bringing in Zach Britton to face Alex Gordon. I can't explain the next two hitters, but granted, Valencia and Giavotella are not particularly special players, so I understand just keeping the one guy in to try and polish off the ninth inning. But it's smart management, bringing the lefty against the quality left-handed batter.
Oh, Tristan, I don't. Danny Valencia batted like 395 against lefties last year.
I know that's the dicey play. I will grant you that, but who else are you going to bring in there? You've used Ryan Webb, you've used Darren O'Day. You're not going to bring in. I mean, are you going to bring in Tommy Hunter to get Danny Valencia out, knowing that the next guy then? Well, actually, the next guy would be right-handed. So
I can't believe. Right. Okay, Valencia splits 333 with an 844 OPS against lefties, and last year 371. Sorry, and against righties this year 188 with no extra base hits. I could not believe that Zach Britton was allowed to face a right-handed hitter, and it tells me that I think Britton could be their actual closer. That it wasn't just a one-day thing. That's why you say O'Day and I say Britton, because he would have taken Britton out. He would have planned differently somehow. Ryan Webb would have been still around. I think Britton's the closer, although for all we know, Britton doesn't get another save, which is amazing.
Would you have tried to bring Hunter in there? I think
it's too soon. I think it's too soon. But if that would have told us a lot, because again, Valencia kills lefties and he left Britton in, so that told us a lot there. I think.
He did not say that Tommy Hunter is out. He did not officially say Tommy Hunter's out.
Mejia is the closer for the Mets next time. Do you think he keeps it? It certainly doesn't look like Familia because he came in kind of early.
Again, that was not what he said. He said that he's going to try players based on day-to-day matchups, and Mejia looks like the most obvious choice.
I don't care what he says. Terry Collins has been doing some crazy things this season, so I don't believe a word he says. I'll be honest. Now, Familia got one out in the eighth inning in the middle of two lefties, so it does not mean he's excluded from closer possibility. Mejia pitched the ninth in a game where they were down a run. And Mejia says he doesn't want to close, which probably means he's going to. By the way, your boy Dylan Baton says, there's nothing wrong with David Robertson, okay? But you said like a couple weeks ago or a month ago that Batances would never be a closer. I think you said something like that.
No.
Not because Robertson. Okay, so now do you feel differently? He struck out 6 of the 7 guys he faced.
I recall saying this a month before everybody else was joining the bandwagon, that I watched his outings in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season, and I was blown away by what I saw.
Okay.
when Sean Kelly moved into the closer role. When that had happened, I remember we talked a little about Betances. Now everybody's on board because he's got a strikeout rate of greater than 15 per 9 innings, which is just insane. He looks completely remade, and what I was speaking about in the preseason went back to last year. He looked like he completely lacked confidence in the late innings, and I didn't think he had the makeup to close or pitch even in key spots in the late innings. This year, completely different pitcher.
I think he's the next Kenley Jansen.
There is that possibility. Yeah.
Not
if
this
David
year.
Robertson gets hurt, there's no question to me that Betances should get the next chance.
Well, I think they'd give it to Sean Kelly if he was active. But Betances has 39 strikeouts and 22 and a third, and you're watching that outing yesterday, and it's like, wow, I'd pick him up in a holds league because I think his role is going to expand. Although his last 2 outings have been 2 innings and 2 and a third, so maybe they don't view him as. But look at these strikeout totals. He's doing more than starters. Anyone else that you want to discuss in the closer carousel? Anything that changed? I'm trying to find it real fast, and of course I lost my connection. I guess Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I mean, Mark Melanson didn't even get an out yesterday, and Jason Grilli says he's ready to return. There was some, I don't want to say controversy, but basically they might send Grilli on a rehab assignment. Grilli says he's ready. He wants to close again. I think Melson's better. You probably think he is, but on Thursday against Milwaukee, the key part here is, and I was watching this when it happened, he walks a few guys, or it's a walk and a hit. There's 2 men on base, and he's facing Mark Reynolds, who's is kind of trying to bunt, but he's never going to be able to bunt, and he can't strike him out. I mean, Melanson could not strike out Reynolds, and this is the guy who strikes out the most in baseball. And then it comes.
He's not a K guy.
Melanson?
Mark Melanson?
No, Melanson had a lot of
big K guy
strikeouts last year. Come on.
No, he's not a K. He's not a K.
He's not
guy.
Mark
No, he's
Burley.
not.
Okay.
He's not. Well, I'm not saying he's not capable of getting any Ks. I'm saying that his strength is not the strikeout. His strength is command and control. This guy has got amazing command. He was second in terms of the strikeout to walk rate to Koji Uehara since the beginning of last season. This guy just knows where to put the ball. It's not a guy with blow him away stuff.
No, I agree with that, but he had 70 strikeouts in 71 innings. Okay, this is not Mark Burley. And then
Certainly,
he walks Reynolds.
He's very good, but that's ordinary for a reliever nowadays.
A day ago, Tristan, would you have said that Melanson is better than Grilli or the other way around? Come on.
Oh,
Bottom line.
Still today's. You're asking me 2 different questions. Look, he is not a big strikeout guy. He's near the league average for relief pitchers. He's not.
Okay, we've gotten past that point.
But he's a better. But
yes.
You can't pin me to 2 answers though.
Okay, well,
I think he's definitely better than Jason Grilli.
All right, that's all I'm asking you. All I'm asking you is who's the better pitcher. But who's going to be getting
started
saves?
with a strikeout discussion.
Okay, but we've ended that. Okay, he couldn't get Reynolds out, and he couldn't get Chris Davis out. Chris Davis has the worst strikeout to walk ratio in the history of baseball, and he couldn't get him out. He couldn't strike him out, and he couldn't get him out.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one. That's the one that I was puzzled by. Is that he couldn't get Rhys Davis out because you're right. The strikeout to walk ratio for him plays right into Melanson's hands. I don't understand it.
I mean, that should have been a ground ball to second base, and he couldn't get it done. So I think Grilli's their closer next week. That's the only thing that matters here is who's going to end up with saves. By the way, check out our colleague Chris Crawford, who does a great job with all the prospect stuff, and he actually has his top 10 minor league. Well, I don't want to say minor league closers because they're not all really closers right now, but top, what is that? What would you call it? Top closer prospects. That's what it is.
Right. Close.
And Chris Crawford does a great job with that. There's a Met on there. There's a Cub on there. There's some interesting pitchers. There's a Philly who I can't wait to see. He's at AAA Lehigh Valley. Maybe one day in this century we'll go. He throws 100. So I can't wait to see Ken Giles. Anyway, check out that article.
Bacon hats.
I'm a bacon hat guy. All right, so we've done that. We've done closer. We've done.
I've got 2 other guys.
All right,
I've got 2 other guys for you.
Yes.
I want to make the mention of Grant Balfour based on the bad outing yesterday, and we'll give the shout-out here to the friend of the podcast, Jason Collette, who pointed out that he's having the Trevor Rosenthal problem in that he can't command his fastball in the strike zone, and that is explaining some of his struggles. By the way, Trevor Rosenthal at least got the save yesterday, didn't blow one, had a walk in that game, but these 2 guys seem to have similar issues where the command is a little spotty right now. Hitters are waiting for them to throw it in the zone. They are not swinging at non-strikes.
Yeah, Trevor Rosenthal, I think it's, 8 straight outings he's walked somebody? That's got to stop.
It wasn't dirty?
No.
It wasn't dirty, no.
It was. I know you were hoping.
Sorry.
You could
We're
play
trying.
anyway, but it wasn't. It didn't quite go there. Okay. Daily Notes time. Here we go. Daily Notes time. There's no sound, of course. Okay. Big weekend. Oh, by the way.
Tristan's fault?
I think it is Tristan's fault. Don't miss MLB on ESPN
Hey, I
Radio.
tried very hard yesterday.
On Saturday, the Pirates are visiting the Yankees. How about that? A rematch of the 1960 World Series with coverage starting at 3 p.m. and then Sunday Night Baseball starts at 7 p.m. featuring the Tigers and the Red Sox. MLB is on ESPN Radio. And I know, Tristan, you'll be watching and listening to that series as well.
And when Tristan does get his act together, the sound that we have for this segment is going to be epic. It will be
So
epic.
I was 2 lines short. So what? Okay, I'll get them.
By the way, everybody, because we keep doing this awesome bit, the Lego Movie's on demand now.
Everything is awesome.
And I feel somewhat obligated to watch.
Are you going to watch it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you got on my case over Anchorman last year, and you've taken longer to watch the Lego Movie than I did Anchorman. Ooh.
What are you talking about? That's not even close. The Anchorman movie's been out for years.
When you first
Lego
called
came
me
out
out,
last
when you first called me out, I watched it much more quickly than when I called you out on the Lego Movie.
It just got on my on demand today. Okay, I think I'm okay.
Oh, and
here.
it wasn't in movie theaters for months and months. Mm-mm.
Do you know what year Anchorman came out, dude?
It is cheaper to watch it on demand. I'll give him that.
Anchorman was out in 2004. You went a decade without watching Anchorman.
Hold on.
And
hey, by the way, have you seen Anchorman 2?
No, I have not. I'm waiting for it to come on demand.
I believe Anchorman 2 is on demand.
Yeah, I know. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. It's tough because I watch baseball every night, so there's really not a lot of time. But you know what? Going to have a lot of time next week when I don't have to deal with you guys. All right, Daily Notes time. Let's talk about the pitchers that we like this weekend. And Shelby Miller is scheduled to pitch what day for the Cardinals? Looks like Saturday against Atlanta and Aaron Harang, the rejuvenated Aaron Harang. Tristan, are you using Shelby Miller?
I will use Shelby Miller because of the home start and that game, but I'm glad you queued up Shelby Miller because he leads to a geeky stat.
The geeky stat of the day.
Holy freakout! The geek is going berserk!
Not overwhelmed by that matchup at all, and the reason is this. He has a 2.67 differential in his ERA and FIP, 3.22 ERA and his 5.89 FIP. To explain that, fielding independent pitching rate based on an ERA scale, and it tries to explain what a pitcher has really done based on the strikeouts, walks, home runs allowed, etc. That is right now on pace for an all-time record, and Eric, I'll pair this up with some nice geeky trivia. Do you know who holds the record before this year?
No. No, I don't. I have no idea.
You've seen a pitch.
I'm sure I have. Well, why don't you tell me? Who is it?
The record was held by Sammy Stewart in 1981.
I've seen him pitch. How old do you think I am?
Yes. And by the way, the number 2 guy, and this was one in a full season, non-strike shortened, was Steve Traxel.
Now that's
guy, just for you.
That's for me. Steve Traxel.
That is just for you.
I loved him because you could read a book in between his pitches. But he was always underrated. All right. Now, how was I going to guess Sammy Stewart? Honestly, come on.
I just wanted to get to Steve Traxel anytime to get him on this show. Would you in a home game against Atlanta? Remember, I always point out the strikeout-prone nature of that
I
offense.
would use him too, but I don't like him right now. I don't like what Shelby Miller is doing, but I do think it has to get better. I think the ability is there, so he's got to get better. Let's kind of go day by day here and see who we like and don't like. Interesting matchups here. Anybody who's owned in a lot of leagues we wouldn't use. And the first guy I see, Tanner Roark against the Mets at home. That's a good opportunity to get a guy who's probably not owned in a ton of leagues, right? So I would use him. Anyone else on Friday? How about Chris Young of Seattle at Minnesota at Kyle Gibson? I think Chris Young's, that's a good opportunity to use somebody.
I agree with you. I take Chris Young over Kyle Gibson in that particular match.
Definitely. I'm not using Kyle Gibson at all. All right, what about, here's a good one. Yusmeiro Petit is back in the rotation for a night because Tim Hudson's been scratched. Don't worry about Tim Hudson. He's actually in my blog. You realize he's 9th among all active players in WAR? It's pretty impressive. Petit against Henderson Alvarez against Miami. I don't know if Miami's going to score 12 runs on the road or 1, but are you using Petit? Last outing was awful. Just awful.
Yes, and because of the Paul Maholm debacle the other night, I'm going to shy from Yusmeiro Petit in this game.
Well, he's not left-handed. I mean, what's
It's not lefty or righty. It's when the guy has skills that are in question, and he does based on the last start. I'm going to shy from him against Miami. It's too dicey.
All right. You'd rather use David Phelps?
I would, yeah. David Phelps was the number 2 option to Tanner Roark for me when I was trying to pick my streamer options for this game. I like the David Phelps one against Pittsburgh. It's just not an overwhelming matchup because it's a home game and they have that big bat lefty, Pedro Alvarez.
Yeah, batting 200. He scares everybody. I don't see
Power.
I wouldn't be scared of that reason. I don't see any 100%
in that park?
owned guys. In what park? What are you talking about? At Yankee Stadium? Yeah, I mean, Pedro Alvarez. I don't look at David Phelps and say I'm going to avoid him because of Pedro Alvarez, a guy batting 200 with a ton of strikeouts. I don't think that way.
Well, I did say I like Phelps, but the problem is that he could hit a ball onto the 4 train in that game. I don't think David Phelps is throwing a shutout here.
No, I don't think David Phelps would throw a shutout at Petco, but it's not because of that. Is my basic thing.
Okay.
It's okay that we think a little bit differently. Saturday, are you using Cole Hamels? Owned, I would assume he's owned in all leagues. Against Cincinnati. By the way, the Phillies dead last in the major leagues in runs scored at home per game and total probably. They just don't score at home. Homer Bailey probably going to do well in this game. I'd use Hamels, but man, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. I mean, actually, his last outing was great, but he threw a ton of pitches. His last outing was great,
yes.
A lot of pitches. That's the reason.
And we've done a little research in the past that says if a guy throws that many pitches, there is a little bit of performance concern in the subsequent outing. I don't know. Is this 4 or 5 days? You've been tracking the Phillies rotation.
5. He had an extra day. They had 2 off days.
Okay, that's good. But one thing I'll point out is that Cincy's offense is really not performing this year. It's definitely disappointed by my measures. From that aspect, I would use Cole Hamels.
I just want to. And by the way, for those in daily formats, it's going to rain all day today in Philadelphia. So don't be surprised if there's a doubleheader on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own Alfredo Simon and Kyle Kendrick, and I don't know why you want to own the latter, just be careful there. It could rain. It also could affect.
It's truth on the East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the East Coast. So like David Phelps might be starting Saturday. Is that Pittsburgh Yankees game? They're not going to play it in August. It's going to have to be a doubleheader if it's just raining too much. Mets and Washington, same type of thing. So just something to keep in mind. The rain is supposedly going to be awful.
Mets and Washington might wait, though.
They don't have to play a doubleheader, but, I mean, Pittsburgh Yankees, I mean, Mazeroski's coming out. What other guys for Saturday? Rick Porcello, I know you like. Would you like him at Boston?
I do not like him at Boston, no. He's okay, but that's in the deeper leagues, not our 10 team. I think it's too guys. There is one on Saturday that I would challenge you on. I want to get your perspective because I went with the bold choice of Jordan Lyles in the home game here, in course.
Yes, that's too bold for me. I understand that Lyles is pitching well, and San Diego can't hit anywhere, but they probably can hit at course. I'm not going there. I'm not.
Lyles
generally go to
very
course.
well. I would use him.
Right.
I will definitely use him in this game. That would be my bold pick for the weekend.
I would say that's bold. I think Kohler at San Francisco would be bolder. Tom Kohler at Miami.
Okay.
Against Lincecum.
Rather have Lincecum in that game.
I would too, but Lincecum's owned in a ton of leagues and Kohler's not. I'm not using Mark Burley at Texas. How about that? There's a guy owned in every league, I would assume at this point. I'm not using him. No way.
Come aboard my bandwagon. I'm happy to have you.
You're going to use Mark Burley at Texas?
No, I'm saying come aboard my bandwagon of don't use him in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Plenty of seats here.
I wasn't aware you had a bandwagon, to be honest with you.
I've been taking heat all week over saying sit Mark Burley based on the 2-start matchups. I don't like them this week. I hate the Texas one.
All right. And then Sunday Night Baseball are the Tigers at the Red Sox. Oh, it's Anibal Sanchez coming back. I didn't realize it was that soon. Anibal Sanchez against Jake Peavy. So I ask you this pretty much every time it happens. Are you using the guy coming off the DL at Fenway?
Yes, I am. I believe in Anibal Sanchez. He is in that class of pitchers where I say do use him in the first start.
All right.
Would you?
Yeah. Yeah, I would too.
There we go.
But I don't overthink it the way you do, because you probably have like a 10-thing list of whether you would use a guy coming off the DL based on player rate or how hard he throws, what the injury was, the weather that day, the astrological signs, the movies that are out. I kind of just use gut mostly on things like this. And to me, Anibal Sanchez is really good. So
no, I got to nitpick one thing there. You said about astrological sign. It's more about the moon alignment and planetary phases.
That says it all. Anybody else on Sunday here? Using Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler's struggling. He's at Washington. Jordan Zimmerman's the opposing pitcher. I assume it'll be a sunny day. Using Wheeler?
I won't, because I don't like the fact he's going up against Jordan Zimmerman. It's a road game, and he pitched terribly the last time.
He did pitch terribly.
I just listed you 3 factors. You're picking the wins. You want to go back there?
No. We've done that to death. I
know, but it's
I don't
few
care
factors
who he's facing. Yeah, okay. He's pitching poorly to me. Is the only one that matters. Using a Baldo at Kansas City. You trust him yet?
I would at this point. Yeah, I would at this point. He's pitched very well in the past 2 outings. I'll be honest with you. I can't quickly click through here and check if the velocity was up in those games, but I'm going to believe it probably was ever so slightly.
He's at James Shields. There's the the win factor thing, but he's pitching well.
But James Shields much better on the road.
Oh my God, you're too much. Okay.
You know that. I know you know that.
Oh, another guy returning, Jaime Garcia against Gavin Floyd and the Braves. I'm not using Jaime Garcia. I know the Braves strike out a ton, but I'm not using him coming off the TL. Sorry.
Oh my goodness, I was wrong on Ubaldo's velocity. Oh well, it's been the same. I would not use Jaime Garcia. That's a guy who's below the cutoff for me, and I need to see some evidence. He's had way too many injury questions for my tastes.
All right, there you go. That's Daily Notes for the weekend. Continue to read Daily Notes every day on ESPN Fantasy because it's really good, and we do weekends as well. And not a lot of games on Monday, just 5 games. Ugh, they need this many days off. Well, days off. All right, moving on now to our email segment, which today is a little bit different.
All right, here we go.
Fantasy Focus at ESPNRadio.com.
If you need anything else, let me know.
Fantasy Focus at ESPNRadio.com.
Before we get to the tweets, we actually have one email. It's from our friend Tom, the intern, who does a great job, and you might be seeing more of him. He writes, Dear Henderson, Coleman, and Raines. Base stealers, love them. Unless you have D. Gordon on your team this year, you're probably not winning the stolen bases category in your league. Fear not. I have a strategy that may work for you. Streaming speedsters. It may sound crazy at first, and stolen bases are pretty unpredictable, but even getting an extra 1 or 2 per week can help you out immensely in roto and head-to-head leagues. And if you play the odds correctly, you might have a better shot than you think. Here are some tips for picking up the right guys. Always check daily lineups before the game. Look who is starting, including both the opposing pitcher and catcher. Players who bat first or second are obvious choices, but avoid National League hitters that bat eighth. Wow, this is something different than what you've written in the past. Managers are reluctant to let them steal if they bat in front of the pitcher. In 2013, the eighth spot accounted for only 5.8% of all steals by in-out hitters, the lowest of any non-pitching batting order position. By comparison, the fourth spot accounted for 8.5%. Wow, that's interesting stuff. Look for guys who have a decent on base. If they aren't on base, they won't steal. Given that most of the high on base guys are probably owned, look for guys with large platoon splits like Drew Stubbs, who can hit lefties but not righties. Avoid opposing catchers who are elite at throwing out runners, such as Yadier Molina and Ryan Hannigan. Target catchers who are not so good, like Jared Saltalamacchia. Also, as important, look at the opposing pitcher's career numbers. Avoid Johnny Cueto, who has the lowest stolen base percentage of any active player at 35%. Wow, even better than Mark Burley. Tillman, Burley, Tomlin, and Kershaw also on that list. Exploit pitchers like Chris Young of the Mariners. He has the worst numbers of any active player. Runners are 90% successful against him. Wow. And Chris Young, we just named as starting when? This Friday or Saturday. Who is Chris Young facing that we could exploit that? Oh, he's Minnesota. So like Aaron Hicks maybe, or Pedro Florman.
Well, Hicks would have to be in the lineup for that.
Yeah, he has the DL thing? Is he back? I think he's back.
I think Tom's really onto something here, and this, by the way, is a feature that's in both the Daily Notes and the Forecasters. We provide you steals ratings, which does account for the pitcher's history on there. A.J. Burnett, another one I'd mention as one who I've seen has a very poor record of preventing base stealers. But the issue is it's very, very difficult to find available guys who fit the qualification for the matchup.
Well, Stubbs seems like a good one, but if Stubbs is facing a lefty, I would use him. I'd pick him up anyway. I'm trying to think. Who's the guy I'm streaming? There's a guy I'm streaming in one of our our daily leagues. And, like James Jones, I think he's a little bit of a runner. Maybe not a lot. Like Brian Dozier could.
Yeah, he's got James Jones as a suggestion here.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks to Tom the intern. I think every Friday, in addition to making a Twitter Friday, we should just use something that Tom writes because he's so smart. All right, now it's hashtag the 06010, and it should be lots of fun. And we can just go through and see what we've got here. And I'm going to go quickly.
I like the 44. I think we should just start using the 44.
So we'll try to make these quick because you can't get a whole lot in on Twitter. Josh, who would you rather have in an NO only 5x5? Carlos Gomez at $11 for 2 years, or Steven Strasburg at $15 for 1? I'll take Gomez.
I would take Gomez too. Give me that price again.
11 for 2 years. That's great. Or Strasburg at 15 for 1.
That's tremendous.
That's clearly Gomez.
That's tremendous.
Oh, here's the one that might take some looking up. Brady Hart. Could you guys rank the starting pitchers who have relief pitcher eligibility?
I have it right in front of me, yes.
Oh, then tell us.
Okay. Do you want to name game this?
Sure.
That's how you play the name game, people.
Chris Davis is not going away. Am I the striking tall debonair one?
Wow, what's the hate for Cologne for?
He steals from the buffet before I can get to it. So I'm sorry, I just can't go for that.
Mom, where's the chicken parm?
Don't say Cliff Lee's name. No.
Are you okay? Do you need professional help?
You really don't grant Mariano Rivera, of all people, that one exception.
Dude, he's 43 years old and he tore his ACL last year.
I'm a little bit dismayed and embarrassed by some of the things that I've said on this show over the years.
That's true. Definitely true.
We're going to pick the guy that I know you like, Eric. I'll start with him. It's Garrett Richards.
I can't imagine anybody will be ahead of him. I mean, I like Drew Smiley a lot. I'm going off the top of my head. I like Alex Wood, but not anymore.
The first one.
Not anymore.
The first one I mentioned is Drew Smiley.
Yeah, I think it's Richards over Smiley. Everything Richards is doing looks legit, and I can't. There's no evidence on this injury thing that we started on this show to say that hard throwers just get hurt more often. There's no evidence of that yet. So I think Garrett Richards, everything I've seen, I watched the game the other day, he's legit. But Smiley, I can't believe anybody will pass Smiley for me. And Wood is no longer even in contention. He's not going to start.
So you'd have Smiley over Richards or Richards over Smiley?
Richards over Smiley. But Smiley's 2, I think.
Okay.
I
have Smiley 1, I have Richards behind him. Okay. Tyson Ross.
He still has relief pitcher eligibility? He pitched in relief last year? Okay. Well, I like Richards and Smiley better. I know you probably love Tyson Ross.
I actually had Ross over Richards. By 4
Ross
spots.
number 1?
No, I have Smiley, then Ross, then Richards.
Oh, okay. What don't you like about Garrett
Alex
Richards?
Wood? Now, to be fair,
what's your problem with Garrett Richards?
I still don't feel that his stuff is that elite yet. I think it's very good, but I think he's leaning too much on just trying to blow people away with a fastball. And I just question whether in that division that's going to be a problem when you're facing teams like Texas and Oakland a lot.
In that division,
he's a very good pitcher.
Seattle and Houston. Look, if you're going to throw Texas at me, I'm going to throw Seattle and Houston at you. I mean, that's a good division, I think, to pitch in. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Dallas Keuchel probably has.
Okay, you mentioned Alex Wood. I did have higher than him because at the time I was banking on the Saturday hint. Not happening anymore. Jesse Chavez.
Oh, I do like him. But I don't like him better than Ross or Richards or Smiley. So, no. But I think at this point you have to go with him over Alex Wood. I don't know if Alex Wood's going to make more than 5 more starts the rest of the year, honestly. Now, I think it's a joke, but I understand why it's happening. You can't take Harang out if he's pitching well, or Gavin Floyd. And Wood can pitch in relief. So, in this case, I don't want to defend Freddie because he's terrible, but I kind of would have done the same thing. I mean, you can't take any of these guys out of the rotation. All right.
I'll throw you 3 more guys just to see if any of them would be there. Alfredo Simon. We'll figure it out someday. Dallas Keuchel.
I'm not a fan of his, the Houston guy. And Matt Latos should be back. I heard might be this weekend, but it doesn't look like he's slated to. See, the problem with Simon is when Latos comes back, I don't think they blink. Simon goes to the bullpen.
We did get an email from a listener who met Alfredo Simon last night and said it is in fact Simon.
See, now that's what I thought it was.
He met him?
He met him.
He told Baltimore reporters in, I think it was 2011, that it was Simon. But if he told somebody today it was Simon, okay.
Our listener, Luis.
All right. No, I think it's Simon. Latos actually was transferred to the 60-day DL, so he's not coming back this month. He was almost coming back this weekend. What happened? These teams and their communication. All right. And anyone else?
The only other ones here I got are Robbie Ross, Danny Duffy, Josh Collmenter, Tanner Scheppers, and a lot of other guys in the bullpen.
So look,
Tanner Roark.
I do like him, but not as much as my big top three. So we differ on Richards, which is interesting. Richards, so it's Richards.
Phelps.
He wouldn't be above those guys for me either. Now I have a league where I'm using starting pitchers in my relief slot. It's obviously not ESPN, and I had Alex Wood I was counting on him, but now I can't. So I had to pick up another guy, or pick up.
I think closers are better when they're starting pitcher eligible. I find more benefit in that. But Dallas Keuchel, by the way, is my big value pick among these guys.
I agree with you. And is there any current relief pitcher, any current closer who has starting eligible? Mejia. Well, he's not actually relief eligible yet, but Mejia will get it.
Right.
There's no closer right now that has starting pitcher eligibility. So that is a valuable thing.
The closest one is Alexi Agondo if he at some point moved into the closer role, but nobody else.
All right, staying with Twitter here, is there any, if you see one, you can let me know. Oh, here's one. Please rank this, this is Loose Wayne. Please rank these prospects for Keeper League value this year and beyond. And it's the big three, really. Gregory Polanco of Pittsburgh, Oscar Taveras of St. Louis, and Chris Bryant of the Cubs. It's actually a very good question, not that the others weren't. But who's coming up first? Who's giving the most value? Because Bryant's just killing the ball in the minors, but it's Double-A. And Mike Olt's hitting homers in the majors. I actually wrote in my blog today that Taveras could come up soon because Matt Adams is really spiraling. First time all season since the second game that he's under 300 batting average, not hitting for power, and a brutal walk rate, one of the 10 worst of all time, walk versus strikeout. So Matt Adams has really regressed. BABIP is high, a lot of singles. I think Taveras is coming up when Polanco does in like 2 weeks. I don't think Bryant's coming up till September. Your thoughts on that?
I actually think that's the order that I'd put them, Polanco, Taveras, Bryant, and that's both when I think they come up this year and their long-term keeper value. You know I've been kind of anti-Oscar Taveras. I think he's a very special player, but I think that's more in the long term. I think Bryant's ceiling is the highest of these three, but I just don't think he does a lot this year. He's doing great in the minors, though. I'm very impressed.
I think Polanco's ceiling is the highest there. Polanco, to me, looks like a guy who's going to hit 15 homers and steal 40 bases really soon. Not going to do it in 3 months this year. Bryant is a power hitter, and maybe Bryant is an elite power hitter who bats for average, but I think Polanco is the guy you want in real life and in fantasy. I think his ceiling is high, but excellent. I think the order.
But I think that's.
I think the order.
You're shooting for them more in the short term. I think that's why I would go with Polanco. I think they're very close here. I actually think Polanco's long-term career ceiling here is the lowest of the three of them. I think the other two have very, very high ceilings. It could be tremendous, like almost MVP caliber players. I think Polanco will be a good one. But I don't know if he's quite up to the point of Chris Bryant might hit 40 homers a year.
Or he could be Middlebrooks. There's similarities there. I see what you're saying, but it also from a fantasy aspect, I'm almost always going to go with the guy who has power and speed, and that's Polanco to me. Mm-hmm. But yes, I do like the other guys a lot. I mean, I've liked Taveras more than you for over a year. I think that's something that could change in St. Louis soon, and then with Brian, I don't see the Cubs rushing any of these kids. Baez, Bryant, I think they're going to wait a little while. I get this one a lot. Philip Edwards. Is there any reason to get excited about Mark Trumbo's anticipated mid-June return from the DL? Let me check while you talk how many leagues he's owned in.
A fair amount.
I bet people are trying to keep him because he's got 40 homer power.
Yeah, it's good power. It's a good park to play to that power. That's another big plus for him. The timetable was shorter than I anticipated. In my understanding on the rehab process, he's a little bit ahead of where I expected he'd be. I really worried he'd be out until the All-Star break or later. I think there's still a little something there. But I think that if he goes on any sort of hot spell, let's say he has a 2 to 3 week real big hot spell, especially in terms of power, I would be shopping him right away. A guy who does cool very much as the year goes on.
Mike Krafik, how long should I hold on to Trevor Bauer? I'd keep him. Keep him owned. Right? When you...
Yeah, you know what? Actually, this came up... We'll name drop Sid Wong here, our video producer. This discussion came up with him because he asked me about Gregory Polanco in the previous question, and I pointed out it's a very difficult decision in our 10-team league with the 3 bench spots to keep prospects stashed, especially with so many injuries lately. And I said to him, don't pick up Polanco just yet because he was in a tough spot. He doesn't have the space for him, and he'd unfortunately be cutting him probably in a week to get somebody else that he needed. I feel that way about Trevor Bauer. I think Polanco is more important to have than Trevor Bauer right now, and I'd love to keep Bauer around, but I just don't see it. I don't think it's in the cards. Not in our leagues, not in our 10-team.
I agree. I would always keep the hitter over the pitcher, especially this year when there's so many good pitchers. There's no guarantee that Bauer does this in the majors, but I think we all feel that Polanco, Tavares, Bryant would translate right away. You know what? We're getting a lot here. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but a lot of people asking about Mookie Betts. He won't show up until he plays in the majors. He'll show up the next day in our system, right? That's how it's going to work?
That's correct.
Stuart, and that's just the way it is. You can say whatever you want about it, but that's the way it's going to be. If they're not in the system, they're not just joining until they actually play a game. Stuart,
and then they would go through waivers.
Right. Stuart, what's wrong with J.J. Hardy? No homers so far. It's true. No homers after hitting 25 last year. He's down to 70% owned. Other numbers don't look vastly different, but it's going to be hard for him to hit 25 home runs now. Wow. 0.91 batting average against lefties. How's that happening?
Yeah.
Oof. That ought to be fine. I think actually it's a good time to get J.J. Hardy. But
I think it is, too. You know, I'm taking a quick look at the very, very geeky stats, the miss rate, chase rate, et cetera. None of these things really look out of character for him. And not only that, his ground ball to fly ball rate hasn't really changed that much, hitting a few more fly balls, a few more line drives. Nothing here is really out of the ordinary to me. I would ask, was the injury that made him day-to-day earlier this season something that contributed to the bad numbers? I think that might explain some of it.
Final one, it's Buckethead. I have Axford, Joe Smith, and Hector Rondon of the Cubs. Who do I drop? ESPN Custom Points League. Help. Look, this is a problem a lot of people have. Not only are you dealing with injuries and prospects, but 10 closer jobs right now are kind of up in the air. You have to own both Angels guys. You have to own at least 2 Indians guys. The Cubs, who knows? Astros, who knows? Right? 2 Pittsburgh guys. So who are you dropping here?
I would drop Axford of those 3, just because Axford's the one who's pitching the least effectively. I think Smith has pitched well enough that he'll sneak in a few saves. And Hector Rondon, despite the fact that he's not getting a lot of save chances on that team, he's pitching all right. I think he's got the leg up on it.
I'll never understand you. You defended John Axford for months, and now you're dropping him for Hector Rondon, a Cubs team that's going to lose 100 games. He's not going to get 20 saves. Even I, who don't like John Axford, would drop Rondon there. But okay.
You drop Rondon over Axford?
I think Axford's going to get more saves. I think
in our 10-team game, you cannot. You can't sit on a guy who's not closing. You can't. In our 10-team game, you cannot do it.
But don't you think Axford's going to get more saves at some point?
I've said I don't think Axford has seen his final save chance of this season, but that's a guy you pick back up off waivers, free agency, whichever. That's the way it goes in our 10-team leagues.
All right, we're wrapping it up for the week now. This has been Fantasy Focused Baseball. Any final thoughts, Tristan, as we head into a big weekend?
Nope.
There you go. Okay. Well, that about says it all. So we want to thank everybody who contributed to our fine shows this entire week. That includes our special guests, as always, Stefania Bell, the awesome one, and Mark Simon. He's pretty awesome, too. Great job. Awesome. And it is. Everything is awesome. Great job by Tristan this week and Jay behind the glass. I'm Eric Karabell. I will not be around next week, but Tristan will take you through it. It'll all be awesome. So keep on listening. And that is all for now. Enjoy your weekend and be safe.
Nailed 44.
You know what? We should have had the beginning. The following takes place between 9:03 a.m. and 9 a.m.
I cut off rather sharply.
The theme song for the Fantasy Focus was created and performed by Eric Hutchinson. Check out more of his music at erichutchinson.com. Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Focus. For more great podcasts, log on to the iTunes Music Store or Pod Center at espnradio.com.